Hey guys, this topic in biochemistry is about cellular respiration, and cell respiration is the process by which living things acquire energy. And it's important because we living organisms use energy to build and repair body structures, to maintain the activities of life like movement, reproduction, nutrition, etc. And we gain energy through nutrition. So cellular respiration is the way that we convert energy from nutrition into energy that we can actually use as organisms. So prior to beginning this topic, I want you to just take a moment, look at your understanding sheets, and read understanding 2.8.1 and 2, as well as 8.2.2 and 8.2.11. All right, so take a moment and read those 4 understandings. And once you're done, think about what is ATP, how is it formed, and how is it used? What have you learned about it up to this point? Okay, so by definition, cell respiration is the controlled release of energy in the form of ATP from organic compounds. Now, in our previous topic, we were talking about enzymes, and this is our first kind of application of enzymes at work. Cellular respiration happens in a number of small steps. This is what the controlled release, what the controlled release is referring to. Here we go, the controlled release, happening in a number of small steps, which we can see here. And this happens by a number of different enzymes. So we're going to see both linear reactions as well as cyclic reactions involving a number of different enzymes. ATP is often referred to as the universal energy currency because it is the same currency that's used in pretty much all living organisms, with maybe slight variations in those that don't have access to carbon. But ATP is universal in that all organisms use it. It's continuously recycled, and it is linked together in a linear sequence. And because of this sequence and because of the molecules that it contains, this molecule, which we refer to as ATP, contains a lot of energy. It's a high energy molecule. So when it breaks down, that breakdown releases energy that can be used for something else. Some other things that are great about it is it moves easily in cells by facilitated diffusion. Remember, facilitated diffusion is diffusion through the cell using a protein channel that traverses the membrane. It takes part in many reactions of metabolism. Anything that requires an initial or overall input of energy requires ATP. And it delivers energy in small amounts, which are sufficient to drive individual reactions. So what this means, the benefit of this, is that there is very little waste when it comes to energy from ATP. The name comes from what this molecule is composed of, which is adenine and 3 phosphate groups. And so the full name for this is adenosine triphosphate. That's where ATP comes from. And like I said, it is our universal energy currency. So now let's take a look at how ATP is formed and how it is actually used. Okay? So the amount of energy available in ATP is about 30 to 34 kilojoules per mole. Some of this energy, when this reaction occurs, is lost as heat, but a lot of it is available in the ATP molecule to allow reactions other places in the cell. So what we've got here is, first of all, our cell respiration reaction. So we've got sugar and oxygen going into the organism, cellular respiration occurring, and carbon dioxide and water coming out of the reaction. So this is why organisms must eat, they must breathe, and in this process we excrete carbon dioxide and actually a small amount of water. Okay? So that's the cell respiration process in really general terms. What this accomplishes is it turns ADP, adenosine diphosphate, and provides the energy needed for it to bond to an additional phosphate group, resulting in adenosine triphosphate. Now, this, like I said, this molecule can be continuously recycled, and the way that it's used is when it's used, one of those phosphates is released, turning it into adenosine diphosphate, and in that release of the phosphate, usable energy goes into whatever reaction is in question. So ATP is a high energy molecule, and the use does not break down the molecule completely. We get this out of it, but it does release a large amount of energy. Some of the reactions that this could be a part of is using ATP to aid movement of materials across a membrane when it is an active process. It can be used to build molecules. It can be used during muscle contraction or during cell movement, cell transport, things like that. Okay, so the last part of this initial introduction is to get familiar with the mitochondria. The mitochondria is the very specialized organelle in which cellular respiration occurs. It has structures that allow this function to happen very, very well, and we're going to get more familiar with this in class. So this is not homework, but in class you're going to be drawing, labeling, and annotating the mitochondrion structure, as well as stating how each structure contributes to the function of the mitochondrion in cell respiration. So be thinking of that. Be sure you have read pages 78 to 81 and 268 to 275 for class. Thanks.